Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Walt Whitman Initiative's 19th annual Song of Myself Marathon, taking place today. It's 19th June, 2022, so supposedly from 4 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Walt Whitman Initiative's 19th annual Song of Myself Marathon, taking place today. It's 19th June, 2022. So supposedly from 4 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Walt Whitman Initiative's 19th annual. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Walt Whitman taking place today. Annual 2022.
Karen, mute your audio.
Eastern Standard Time. Hi, everyone, and welcome to 4 to 7 p.m.
Mute your audio.
19th annual. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Walt Whitman Initiative.
Okay. Karen, you just need to turn off YouTube.
Now it's mute. Oh, no. Which way? This
you
way?
must have a tab open with YouTube.
Okay. So, oh my gosh, this happened last time. So something with YouTube.
Karen, you just need to turn off YouTube.
Right. Now it's mute. Oh, no. Okay. This
you
way?
Must have a tab open with YouTube.
I'm looking. Okay. I'm going to close this
Oh
tab. Okay, how are we doing now, guys?
I think you're out of the rabbit hole loop there.
My goodness. Well, if we learned anything about starting the 19th annual Song of Myself Marathon, it's how much it takes a village. And I have to thank, and I know the team behind me is going to say the same thing. Without Triston Pullen and Jesse Merandy, we would clearly be echoing through the world. So thank you to Jesse and thank you to Triston, who are really running the show today. And welcome everyone, finally, to the 19th annual Song of Myself Marathon. We were supposed to begin at 4 p.m. It's more like 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but we're so happy to see you, so happy to have such an incredible lineup of readers. So thank you for your patience. Triple thanks actually to all of you for joining us today, because it's not just the 19th annual Song of Myself reading, but it's actually Father's Day in quite a few countries, and it's also Juneteenth in the US. Walt never knew those holidays as they became official celebration days after his time. In the States, I think it was Lyndon Johnson who declared the third Sunday as Father's Day by presidential proclamation in 1966. And then, as all of you or many of you know, it was President Joe Biden who signed the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act just last year. So this is the second year we're celebrating Juneteenth. And lots of people don't even know what Juneteenth marks, which is the end of slavery, when federal troops arrived to free enslaved people in the holdout state of Texas. That was June 19th, 1865, a full 2.5 years after Abraham Lincoln had issued the Emancipation Proclamation that supposedly freed slaves in the Confederate States on January 1st, 1863. So Juneteenth and Father's Day are being honored in many different places around the world at this very moment. Yesterday and today in Whitman's Brooklyn, the Juneteenth Food Festival took place at the Weeksville Heritage Center, an incredible historic site with the mission of protecting that lineage of the Weeksville free Black community, a really amazing place to visit. In Emancipation Park, one of the oldest parks in Houston, Texas, the Juneteenth Festival features performances by Kool and the Gang and Sheila E. Celebrations are being held in and around the 10 acres purchased by Houston community members in 1873, asserting the rights of Blacks to own property there. And in one of the oldest Black neighborhoods in Memphis, Tennessee, Tone, which is an art gallery and community protector of art and culture, is holding a series of Juneteenth-related events, including an Afrofuturism-themed gala and the gallery's second annual Family Reunion Festival. So as you see, Juneteenth is a moment to celebrate emancipation, freedom, and Black culture, to look back and understand a very complex history, to honor the present moment with family gatherings, and to plan for the future by celebrating new talent and initiatives in the Black community. As for Father's Day, well, that seems to be celebrated pretty similarly wherever and whenever the date is honored around the world. Fathers and father figures are given cards, special homemade gifts, and lots of affection in honor of their roles as parents, mentors, and friends. Though apparently it's only the 5th most popular card writing day, according to Hallmark, and is not globally recognized as much as Mother's Day is. There's lots of fathers, including lots of dads with us today, who are currently enjoying big, delicious meals or specially organized events. Whitman himself would agree that reciting Song of Myself would never be as good as hugging your dad or celebrating emancipation in Emancipation Park. But this poem that we're reciting gives us a chance to come together and explore the histories and legacies of these very important events. Presenting his best and most democratic self, Song of Myself represents many of the values upheld by these celebrations, whether it's honoring the long road to freedom for so many Americans, or simply remembering the everyday folks that made you into who you are. The caring treatment of the runaway slave in section 10, or the honoring of, quote, maternal as well as paternal in 16, the recognition of the, quote, calm and commanding glance of the Black man in section 13, or the tribute paid to the mashed fireman with breastbone broken in section 33. The very first words of the poem, I celebrate myself and sing myself, and what I assume you shall assume, for every atom belonging to me as good belongs to you. And some of the last lines of the poem, in which Whitman tells us, or tells his sisters and brothers, who he's acknowledged as all of us, what it's all about. And he says, do you see, oh my sisters and brothers, it is not chaos or death. It is form and union and plan. It is eternal life. It is happiness. Whitman has built a poem that we can believe in, and I'm delighted to invigorate these words with new life and new meaning with you today. And to wish everybody, of course, a joyous Juneteenth and a happy Father's Day at the same time. This is our 19th iteration of Whitman's grand personal epic, and the 3rd time we've organized an online reading. Though we are thrilled to be back in Brooklyn Bridge Park on September 17th this year for an in-person Yawp in Whitman's, New York, we decided to offer this Zoom gathering again because of the fabulous results. If you've participated in or watched the last 2 readings, you know the global reach and incredible moments captured in these recordings. Participating readers and performers deliver new life and meaning to well-known lines. Teachers and students use these videos as a study tool. And somehow people who need to be refreshed and reinvigorated that might not otherwise find their way to Leaves of Grass see these recordings. The readers, actors, and performers who are just about to bring you their interpretations of Whitman's 52 sections of Song of Myself may make it look easy, but it is certainly not always the case. You're going to hear from people who are determined to invoke Whitman, though they might be in hospice care or bedbound or courageously battling illnesses. And I want to thank those people right off the bat for being here and working so hard to be here. You're going to hear people struggle with some very difficult passages, and I'm thinking especially of Douglas Pfeiffer, my husband, who is going to try to follow up Greg Trupiano's famous reading of the long, difficult section 33. Douglas, we're really grateful for you trying to give this a shot. And for those of you that don't know Douglas, you probably should know that he's memorizing Paradise Lost, the other great radical epic, and does performances of that. So let's see how he does with 33. And for so many of us, one of the most difficult moments in the history of this marathon will be hearing Ed Folsom recite section 52. In addition to being the consummate Whitman scholar, organizer of countless important conferences and special events, the editor of the Iowa Whitman series and the Whitman Quarterly Review, the co-director of the invaluable Whitman Archive. Ed is also a much celebrated teacher and a consummate pedagogue. Winner of Iowa's Collegiate Teaching Award, the Graduate College Outstanding Mentor Award, the university's President and Provost Teaching Award, and the Regents Award for Faculty Excellence. Ed has taught courses that have shaped current and future Whitman studies. It will be moving indeed to hear him recite the concluding section of Whitman's Song of Myself, as he concludes a teaching career of 50 years. Congratulations to Ed. So thank you. Thank you to all the good folks at the Whitman Initiative for helping out with this reading. I've already profusely thanked and must do it again, board members Triston Pullen, Jesse Merandy, and along with them, Dee Quee, Andrew Rimby, and our intern Rebecca Cousins for conceptualizing, organizing, and producing this program. It could not be done without them. Double thanks to Jesse for designing the Whitman poster that you see behind me. We all know that Walt loved the Brooklyn Ferry. Would he love the subway? Jesse definitely thinks so. I think so too. Love the design evoking Whitman's New York. And thanks, of course, to all the readers this year who have been preparing themselves both poetically and technologically to deliver a magnificent rollout of Whitman's life-affirming epic, one that I hope you will find and revisit and recommend. So a few things before we get started, and we're going to just roll through the poem and hopefully pretty seamlessly. We've tested everything out and seems to be working. If you'd like to find out more about the Song of Myself Marathon, please feel free to email me at songofmyselfmarathon@gmail.com. I also answer to Walt at waltwhitmaninitiative.org. And I do hope that you take a look at the Walt Whitman Initiative website, maybe check in with our Facebook and Instagram accounts and learn about some of our initiatives, which include our ongoing efforts to preserve and protect Whitman's last standing New York City home at 99 Ryerson Street, Brooklyn. This, my friends, is the house in which Whitman completed the first edition of Leaves of Grass in 1855, and it is the only New York City residence of over 30 that he lived in during his lifetime. Emerson visited the house in November 1855 and sent his famous letter greeting Whitman at the beginning of a great career there while Whitman was writing from his second-story window in this simple wood frame house. So if you want to find out more about what we're trying to do to get the house honored as a historic site, please do tune in to our website. Just a brief note that the Song of Myself Marathon is also going to be in person on September 17th. So please do stay tuned for that as well. We're going to ask for readers for that. And I really hope you can join us right there in Brooklyn Bridge Park. Excited about our growing Taine Poetry Library, and that is curated by Whitman Initiative board member Andrew Rimby. Constantly growing library. Thanks to Bob Lewis and Stephen Dima, who are here with us today. We have a space for it at beautiful 91 South Street in South Street Seaport area. And downstairs from us, Stephen and Bob have a magnificent store of Fulton Stall Markets, which is a local farmers cooperative, well worth visiting. So please do keep up with us. During the Brooklyn Book Festival this year, we will be opening the library officially, which is a free access library. And then finally, just a word on our Robust American Love speaker series. We host this every month, very informal conversations with fellow travelers, artists, activists, and next month, Sam McGavern, who's here with us today, and who started up a magnificent project called the Calamus Project, which newly presents Whitman's Calamus poems through performances, film, and a really comprehensive website. All right, so guys, one more wrap-up statement here. Song of Myself, as many of you know, it's Whitman's longest and most beloved poem. We call it America's Declaration of Cultural Independence. He wrote it in 1855, but constantly revised it during his lifetime, and even published it in the deathbed edition of Leaves of Grass in 1892. So there are many different versions of the poem. We collectively have not said one edition is preferred, so you may be hearing different versions than you see in your text, but bear with it and just enjoy those changes and edits that Whitman made over time. The poem takes about 3 hours or so for us to read in Brooklyn Bridge Park. It may take probably around that much here, so we're going to sort of ask people to make transitions very seamless, maybe just do a short introduction before they read. As you see, all readers are identified. We've got their section numbers on their screens as well as their names. So they may announce themselves, which I hope that they do, and just enjoy. One more thing I wanted to add is that I wanted to dedicate this reading to my mother, Elfrida Karbiener, who passed away last month, unexpectedly, yet very peacefully in her own bed. She was a free spirit and a creative soul, and she enabled the life of poetry that I am very lucky to lead. I hear her voice when I read Song of Myself, and I think she would enjoy what we're just about to do. I'm so honored and delighted to introduce our first reader, Triston Pullen. Theater director, playwright, scholar, teacher extraordinaire, and on top of all of that, a true force for good in the world. You have to check his website, tristonpullen.com, to see some of the extraordinary writing that he's done and his production portfolio as well. We actually did an interview with him at Robust American Love last year about Songs of Memory, which is a play he wrote about Walt Whitman's queer life. Triston has shifted around Father's Day and travel plans to be able to provide the tech support to run the show today. So a very warm and Whitmanic thanks to Triston and his family for bringing us together today. Triston, I'm going to let you take it from here.
Thank you. I will be reading section 1. Again, my name is Triston Pullen, and I too want to dedicate this section's reading to Karin's mom. I never met her, but I believe we are always one touch away from the people in our lives. And because of Karin, I am one touch away from her mother. And without her, I would never get to celebrate the life of Karin. So this is for you. Thank you. I celebrate myself and sing myself. And what I assume, you shall assume, for every atom belonging to me as good belongs to you. I loaf and invite my soul. I lean and loaf at my ease, observing a spear of summer grass. My tongue, every atom of my blood formed from this soil, this air. Born here of parents, born here from parents the same and their parents the same. I, now 37 years old in perfect health, begin hoping to cease not till death. Creeds and schools and abeyance, retiring back a while, sufficed at what they are, but never forgotten. I harbor for good or bad. I permit to speak at every hazard. Nature without check, with original energy.
Houses and rooms are full of perfumes. The shelves are crowded with perfumes. I breathe the fragrance myself and know it and like it. The distillation would intoxicate me also, but I shall not let it. The atmosphere is not a perfume. It has no taste of the distillation. It is odorless. It is for my mouth forever. I'm in love with it. I will go to the bank by the wood and become undisguised and naked. I am mad for it to be in contact with me. The smoke of my own breath echoes, ripples, buzzed, whispers, love roots, silk thread, crotch, and vine. My respiration and inspiration, the beating of my heart, the passing of blood and air through my lungs. The sniff of green leaves and dry leaves and of the shore and dark-colored sea rocks and of hay in the barn. The sound of the belched words of my voice loose to the eddies of the wind. A few light kisses, a reaching around of arms, the play of shine or shade on the trees as the supple boughs wag. The delight alone, or in the rush of the streets or along the fields and the hillsides, the feeling of health. The noon, full noon shrill, the song of me rising from bed and meeting the sun. Have you reckoned 1,000 acres much? Have you reckoned the earth much? Have you practiced so long to learn to read? Have you felt so proud to get at the meaning of poems? Well, stop this day and night with me and you shall possess the origin of all poems. You shall possess the good of the earth and sun. There are millions of suns left. You shall no longer take things at second or third hand, nor look through the eyes of the dead, nor feed on the specters and books. You shall not look through my eyes either, nor take things from me. You shall listen to all sides and filter them from yourself.
It's Chilton joining you from Bolton in England. I have heard what the talkers were talking, the talk of the beginning and the end. But I do not talk of the beginning or the end. There was never any more inception than there is now, nor any more youth or age than there is now, and will never be any more perfection than there is now, nor any more heaven or hell than there is now. Urge and urge and urge, always the procreant urge of the world. Out of the dimness, opposite equals advance, always substance and increase, always sex, always a knit of identity, always distinction, always a breed of life. To elaborate is no avail. Learned and unlearned feel that it is so. Sure is the most certain shore, plumb in the uprights, well entry tide, braced in the beams, stout as a hall, affectionate, haughty, electrical. I am this mystery, here we stand. Clear and sweet is my soul, and clear and sweet is all that is not my soul. Lack one, lacks both, and the unseen is proved by the seen, till that becomes unseen and receives proof in its turn. Showing the best and dividing from the worst age vexes age. Knowing the fitness and equanimity of things, while they discuss, I am silent and go bathe and admire myself. Welcome is every organ and attribute of me, and any man hearty and clean. Not an inch nor a particle of an inch is vile, and none shall be less familiar than the rest. I am satisfied. I see, I dance, laugh, sing. As a hugging and loving bedfellow sleeps at my side through the night and withdraws at the peep of the day with stealthy tread, leaving me baskets covered with white towels, swelling the house with their plenty. Shall I postpone my acceptation and realization and scream at my eyes that they turn from gazing after and down the road and forthwith cipher and show me to a cent exactly the value of one and exactly the value of two, and which is ahead?
Hello, I'm Tom Chaffin, a author and historian from based in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm delighted to join you today. Prippers and askers surround me. People I meet, the effect upon me of my early life or the ward and city I live in or the nation. The latest dates, discoveries, inventions, societies, authors old and new. My dinner, dress, associates, looks, compliments, dues, the real or fancied indifference of some man or woman I love, the sickness of one of my folks or of myself, or ill-doing, or loss or lack of money, or depressions or exultations. Battles, the horrors of fratricidal war, the fever of doubtful news, the fitful events. These come to me days and nights and go from me again. But they are not the me myself. Apart from the pulling and hauling stands what I am, stands amused, complacent, compassionating, idle, unitary, looks down, is erect or bends an arm or an impalpable certain rest. Looking with side curved head, curious what will come next, both in and out of the game, and watching and wondering at it. Backward, I see in my own days where I sweated through fog with linguists and contenders. I have no mockings or arguments. I witness and wait.
I believe in you, my soul. The other I am must not abase itself to you, and you must not be abased to the other. Loaf with me on the grass. Loose the stop from your throat. Not words, not music or rhyme I want, not custom or lecture, not even the best. Only the love I like, the hum of your vowel voice. I mind how once we lay such a transparent summer morning, how you settled your head athwart my hips and gently turned over upon me, and parted the shirt from my bosom bone and plunged your tongue to my bare stripped heart, and reached till you felt my beard, and reached till you held my feet. Swiftly arose and spread around me the peace and knowledge that pass all the argument of the earth. And I know that the hand of God is the promise of my own. And I know that the Spirit of God is the brother of my own. And that all the men ever born are also my brothers, and the women my sisters and lovers. And that a kelson of the creation is love, and limitless are leaves stiff or drooping in the fields, and brown ants in the little wells beneath them, and mossy scabs of the worm fence, heaped stones, elder, mullein, and pokeweed.
A child said, "What is the grass?" fetching it to me with full hands. How could I answer the child? I do not know what it is any more than he. Oh, I guess it is the flag of my disposition, out of hopeful green stuff woven. Or I guess it is the handkerchief of the Lord, a scented gift and remembrancer designedly dropped, bearing its owner's name some way in the corner, that we may see and remark and say, whose? Or I guess the grass is itself a child, the produced babe of the vegetation. Or I guess it is a uniform hieroglyphic, and it means sprouting alike in broad zones and narrow zones, growing among black folks as among white, Canuck, Tuckahoe, Congressman, Cuff. I give them the same, I receive them the same. And now, it seems to me, the beautiful uncut hair of graves. Tenderly will I use you, curling grass. It may be you transpire from the breasts of young men. It may be, if I had known them, I would have loved them. It may be you come from old people and from offspring taken soon out of their mother's laps. And here you are, the mother's laps. Oh, this grass is very dark to come from the white heads of old mothers, darker than the colorless beards of old men, dark to come from under the faint great roofs of mouths. Oh, I perceive, after all, so many uttering tongues, and I perceive they do not come from the roofs of mouths for nothing. I wish I could translate the hints about the dead young men and women, and the hints about the old people and mothers and offspring taken soon from their laps. What do you think has become of the old and young men? What do you think has become of the women and children? They are alive and well somewhere. The smallest sprout shows there is really no death, and if ever there was, It led forward life and does not wait at the end to arrest it, and ceased the moment life appeared. All goes onward and outward, nothing collapses. And to die is different from what anyone supposed, and luckier.
Has anyone supposed it lucky to be born? I hasten to inform him or her. It is just as lucky to die, and I know it. I pass death with the dying and birth with the new washed babe, and am not contained between my hat and boots, and peruse manifold objects, no two alike, and every one good, the earth good, and the stars good, and their adjuncts all good. I am not an earth, nor an adjunct of an earth. I am the mate and companion of people, all just as immortal and fathomless as myself. They do not know how immortal, but I know. Every kind for itself and its own, for me, mine, male and female. For me, those have been boys, and those that love women. For me, the man that is proud and feeds and feels how it stings to be slighted. For me, the sweetheart and the old maid. For me, mothers and the mothers of mothers. For me, lips that have smiled, eyes that have shed tears. For me, children and the begetters of children. Undrape. You are not guilty to me, nor stale nor discarded. I see through the broadcloth and gingham, whether or no, and am around, tenacious, acquisitive, tireless, and cannot be shaken away.
Hi, I'm Annike Pfeiffer, and I'm from New York. I'm Karen's daughter, and she just read. Okay, so I'm going to read section 8. The little one sleeps in its cradle. I lift the gauze and look a long time and silently brush away flies with my hand. The youngster and the red-faced girl turn aside up the bushy hill. I peeringly view them from the top. The suicide sprawls on the bloody floor of the bedroom. I witness the corpse with its dabbled hair. I note where the pistol has fallen. The blab of the paved tires of carts, slough of boot soles, talk of the promenaders, the heavy omnibus, the driver with his interrogating thumb, the clank of the shod horses on the granite floor, the snow sleighs clinking, shouted jokes, pelts of snowballs, the hurrahs for popular favorites, the fury of roused mobs, the flap of the curtained litter, a sick man inside, borne to the hospital, the meeting of enemies, the sudden oath, the blows and fall, the excited crowd, the policeman with his star quickly working his passage to the center of the crowd, the impassive stones that receive and return so many echoes, what groans of overfed or half-starved who fall sunstruck or in fits, what exclamations of women taken suddenly hurry home and give birth to babes, what living and buried speech is always vibrating here, what howls restrained by decorum, arrests of criminals, slights, adulterous offers made, acceptances, rejections with convex lips. I mind them, or the show or resonance of them. I come and I depart.
The big doors of the country barn stand open and ready. The dried grass of the harvest time loads the slow-drawn wagon. The clear light plays on the brown, gray, and green intertinged. The armfuls are packed to the sagging mow. I am there. I help. I came stretched atop of the load. I felt its soft jolts. One leg reclined on the other. I jumped from the crossbeams and seized the clover and timothy and roll head over heels and tangle my hair full of wisps and reverie. I grew up in Texas, and I can testify that the celebration of Juneteenth as a holiday began the year after 1865. And originally, it was a celebration only in certain parts of town, in certain farms out in the country. And the story of Juneteenth is how it spread to all of the town, to all of the cities, to all of the country, to the state of Texas, blasted as it is, to the United States. It's the story of freedom. Now, being a Texan, Walt Whitman and I were and are poets laureate. So I'm going to attempt a loop of freedom. God help us. And the wide open spaces of Zoom. Let's see what happens. The ring, the lasso of freedom.
Ready, Rafi?
Ready.
Okay.
But first, I want to tell everyone something.
Okay. Go ahead and say something, Rafi.
Okay. Before I start reading my part...
1 second. I don't know if people can hear you.
Okay, they can probably hear me. Before I start reading my part, I just want to say that mine will be a little different. I have this virtual background with the picture of the part I'm reading. And there's going to be music after every line. Well, not every line.
Okay.
Anyway, let's start. Alone, far in the wilds and mountains I hunt. I'm sorry. Okay.
Wondering.
I switch. Oh, right. Wandering amazed at my own lightness and glee. In the late afternoon, choosing a safe spot to pass the night. Kindling a fire and broiling fresh-killed game. Soundly falling. Ah, but you haven't been switching the pictures.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
Second picture. Okay, second picture.
Yeah, we're gonna start from the third line.
Okay, third line. Go for it.
Because we forgot to switch backgrounds.
Go for it.
In the late afternoon, choosing a safe spot to pass the night. Kindling a fire and broiling the fresh-killed game. Soundly falling asleep on the gathered leaves, my dog and gun by my side. The Yankee Clipper is under her 3 sky sails. She cuts the sparkle and scud. I already did.
Oh.
Maybe no.
Papa, that was too loud.
Shh.
Keep going.
Sorry for that, everyone. My eyes settle the land. I bend it other prow, or shout joyously from the deck.
Rafi's my turn.
Next line, Rafi. Keep going.
Rafi, you're not supposed to switch it yet.
Okay, go now,
You're not supposed to switch
Rafi.
it.
Yeah, we're there.
No.
Oh, not switch it yet. Okay.
No, Levy, you're not supposed to be
Come
here.
here, sweetie. Come here.
This is not going how I
You're doing great. Just do the next line.
Okay.
My eyes.
I did.
Oh, you did that
My
line. Okay.
eyes- Levy, don't. No. Oh,
You're doing so great. What do you want to do next?
this isn't working.
Okay, do you want me to finish it for you?
No, I want
Okay.
to start over.
We can't start over, but we can do this part again, or we can start here. Okay, go for it.
One more time. Also, Levy, you can't be here anymore. My eyes settle the land. I bend it other prow, or shout joyously from the deck.
How did you feel?
No.
Rafi, just keep reading.
I want to feel.
It's Rafi's turn.
Okay.
The boatmen and clam diggers arose early and stopped for me.
Okay. And the next line. Finish it. Just finish it. You have 2 more lines.
I tucked my trouser under my boots and went and had a good time.
Okay. You should. Do you want to finish it or should I?
You should have been with us that day around the chowder kettle.
Okay. Good job, Rafi. Good job. Okay.
Please do not turn this into a YouTube video.
I saw the marriage of the trapper in the open air in the far west. The bride was a red girl.
Oh, you didn't play.
Her father and his friends sat nearby, cross-legged and dumbly smoking. They had moccasins to their feet and large, thick blankets hanging from their shoulders. On a bank lounged the trapper. He was dressed mostly in skins. His luxuriant beard and curls protected his neck. One hand rested on his rifle. The other hand held firmly the wrist of the red girl. She had long eyelashes. Her head was bare. Her coarse, straight locks descended upon her voluptuous limbs and reached to her feet.
I can't hear you.
The runaway slave came to my house and stopped outside. I heard his motions crackling the twigs of the woodpile. Do you want to sit in my lap? No? Do you want to say hi to everybody?
No.
Say hi, this is Libby. Hi, everyone. Through the swung half door of the kitchen, I saw him limpsy and weak, and went where he sat on a log, and led him in, and assured him, and brought water, and filled a tub for his sweated body and bruised feet, and gave him a room that entered from my own, and gave him some coarse, clean clothes. Yes, I'm almost finished.
Let me talk.
You want to read it? And remember perfectly well his revolving eyes and his awkwardness, and remember putting plasters on the galls of his neck and ankles. He stayed with me a week before he was recuperated and passed north. I had him sit next to me at table. My firelock leaned in the corner. Happy Juneteenth and happy Father's Day.
"28 young men bathed by the shore. 28 young men and all so friendly. 28 years of womanly life, and all so lonesome. She owns the fine house by the rise of the bank. She hides, handsome and richly dressed, aft the blinds of the window. Which of the young men does she like the best? Ah, the homeliest of them is beautiful to her. Where are you off to, lady? I see you. You splash in the water there, yet stay stock still in your room. Dancing and laughing along the beach came the 29th bather. The rest did not see her, but she saw them and loved them. The beards of the young men glistened with wet. It ran from their long hair. Little streams passed all over their bodies. An unseen hand also passed over their bodies. It descended tremblingly from their temples and ribs. The young men float on their back. Their white bellies bulge to the sun. They do not ask who seizes fast to them. They do not know who puffs and declines with pendant and bending arch. They do not think who souses them with spray.
The butcher boy puts off his killing clothes or sharpens his knife at the stall in the market. I loiter, enjoying his repartee and his shuffle and breakdown. Blacksmiths with grim and hairy chest environ the anvil. Each has his mansledge. They are all out. There is a great heat in the fire. From the cinder-strewn threshold, I follow the movements. The leader of the waist plays even with their massive arms. Overhand the hammer swing, overhand so slow, overhand so sure. They do not hasten. Each man hits in his place.
Hello, I'm Wally, and I'm zooming in today from New York's Upper West Side. I dedicate this reading to Juneteenth and to Pride Month, to love and inclusion. And just a quick note before I start, I will retain Whitman's original language in my reading, but I would be remiss not to acknowledge that there are some terms in this section that today I think carry some challenging connotations. This is section 13. The Negro holds firmly the reins of his 4 horses. The block swags underneath on its tied-over chains. The Negro that drives the long dray of the stone yard. Steady and tall, he stands poised on one leg on the string piece. His blue shirt exposes his ample neck and breasts and loosens over his hip band. His glance is calm and commanding. He tosses the slouch of his hat away from his forehead. The sun falls on his crispy hair and mustache, falls on the black of his polished and perfect limbs. I behold the picturesque giant and love him. And I do I do not stop there. I go with the team also. In me, the caresser of life, wherever moving, backward as well as forward, slewing, two niches aside and junior bending, not a person or object missing, absorbing all to myself and for this song. Oxen that rattle the yoke and chain or halt in the leafy shade. What is that you express in your eyes? It seems to me more than all the print I have read in my life. My tread scares the wood drake and wood duck on my distant and day-long ramble. They rise together. They slowly circle around. I believe in those winged purposes and acknowledge red, yellow, white playing within me, and consider green and violet and the tuft crown intentional, and do not call the tortoise unworthy because she is not something else, and the jay in the woods never studied the gamut, yet trills pretty well to me, and the look of the baymar shames silliness out of me.
Hi, I'm Fay. I did my first Song of Myself marathon shortly after my mother passed, and I know how healing it was. So I want to thank the senior Mrs. Karbiener for giving us Karin, who does this every year, helps us all to heal. And if the world could hear this, it would help to heal the world. So thank you. The wild gander leads his flock through the cool night. "Yahoo!" he says, and sounds it down to me like an invitation. The pert may suppose it meaningless, but I listen closer. I find its purpose and place up there toward the northern November sky. The sharp-hoofed moose of the north, the cat on the house sill, the chickadee, the prairie dog, the litter of the grunting sow as they tug at her teats, the brood of the turkey hen, and she with her half-spread wings. I see in them and myself the same old law. The press of my foot to the earth springs 100 affections. They scorn the best I can do to relate them. I am enamored of growing outdoors, of men that live among cattle or taste of the ocean or woods, of the builders and steerers of ships, of the wielders of axes and mauls, of the drivers of horses. I can eat and sleep with them week in and week out. What is commonest and cheapest and nearest and easiest is me. Me going in for my chances, spending for vast returns, adorning myself to bestow myself on the first that will take me. Not asking the sky to come down to my goodwill, scattering it freely forever.
Hello, friends. We're here in Amman, Jordan. I'm here with my beloved niece, Annike. The pure contralto sings in the organ loft. The carpenter dresses his plank. The tongue of his foreplane whistles its wild ascending lisp. The married and unmarried children ride home to their Thanksgiving dinner. The pilot seizes the kingpin. He heaves down with a strong arm. The mate stands braced in the whale boat. Lance and harpoon are ready. The duck shooter walks by silent and cautious stretches. The deacons are ordained with crossed hands at the altar. The spinning girl retreats and advances to the hum of the big wheel. The farmer stops by the bars of a Sunday and looks at the oats and rye. The lunatic is carried at last to the asylum, a confirmed case. He will never sleep anymore as he did in the cot in his mother's bedroom. The jour printer with gray head and gaunt jaws works at his case. He turns his quid of tobacco, his eyes get blurred with the manuscript. The malformed limbs are tied to the anatomist table. What is removed drops horribly in a pail. The quadroon girl is sold at the stand. The drunkard nods by the barroom stove. The machinist rolls up his sleeves. The policeman travels his beat. The gatekeeper marks who pass. The young fellow drives the express wagon. I love him, though I do not know him.
The half-breed straps on his light boots to compete in the race. The Western turkey shooting draws old and young. Some lean on their rifles, some sit on logs. Out from the crowd steps the marksman and takes his position and levels his piece. The groups of newly come immigrants cover the wharf or levee. The woolly pates hoe in the sugar field. The overseer views them from his saddle. The bugle calls in the ballroom. The gentlemen run for their partners. The dancers bow to each other. The youth lies awake in the cedar-roofed garret and harks to the musical rain. The wolverine sets traps on the creek that help fill the Huron. The reformer ascends the platform. He spouts with his mouth and nose. The company returns from its excursion. The darky brings up the rear and bears the well-riddled target. The squaw, wrapped in her yellow-hemmed cloth, is offering moccasins and bead bags for sale. The connoisseur peers along the exhibition gallery with half-shut eyes bent sideways. The deckhands make fast the steamboat. The plank is thrown for the shore-going passengers. The young sister holds out the skein. The elder sister winds it off in a ball and stops now and then for the knots. The one-year wife is recovering and happy. A week ago, she bore her first child. The clean-haired Yankee girl works with her sewing machine or in the factory or mill. The 9 months gone is in the parturition chamber. Her faintness and pains are advancing. The paving man leans on his two-handed rammer. The reporter's lead flies swiftly over the notebook. The sign painter is lettering with red and gold. The canal boy trots on the towpath. The bookkeeper counts at his desk. The shoemaker waxes his thread. The conductor beats time for the band, and all the performers follow him. The child is baptized. The convert is making the first professions. The regatta is spread on the bay. How the white sail sparkles.
The drover watches his drove. He sings out to them that would stray. The peddler sweats with his pack on his back. The purchaser higgles about the odd cent. The camera and plate are prepared. The lady must sit for her daguerreotype. The bride unrumples her white dress. The minute hand of the clock moves slowly. The opium eater reclines with rigid head and just opened lips. The prostitute draggles her shawl. Her bonnet bobs on her tipsy and pimpled neck. The crowd laugh at her blackguards. The men jeer and wink at each other. Miserable, I do not laugh at you, at your oaths, nor jeer you. The president holds a cabinet council. He is surrounded by the great secretaries. On the piazza walk 5 friendly matrons with twined arms. The crew of the fish smack pack repeated layers of halibut in the hold. The Missourian crosses the plains toting his wares and his cattle. The fare collector goes through the train. He gives notice of by the jingling of loose change. The floormen are laying the floor. The tinners are tinning the roof. The masons are calling for mortar. In single file, each shouldering his hod, pass onward the laborers. Seasons pursuing each other, the indescribable crowd is gathered. It is the 4th of July. What salutes of cannon and small arms, seasons pursuing each other. The plower plows and the mower mows and the winter grain falls on the ground. Off on the lakes, the pike fisher watches and waits by the hole in the frozen surface. The stumps stand thick around the clearing. The squatter strikes deep with his axe. The flat boatmen make fast towards dusk near the cottonwood or pecan trees. The coon seekers go now through the regions of the Red River or through those drained by the Tennessee or through those of the Arkansas. The torches shine in the dark that hangs on the Chattahoochee or Attamaha. Patriarchs sit at supper with sons and grandsons and great-grandsons around them. In walls of adobe, in canvas tents, rest hunters and trappers after their day's sport. And the city sleeps and the country sleeps. The living sleep for their time. The dead sleep for their time. The old husband sleeps by his wife, and the young husband sleeps by his wife. And these one and all tend inward to me, and I tend outward to them. And such as it is to be of these, more or less I am.
Hi, I'm David Klopfenstein, and I'm reading from my sunny apartment by the ocean in Brighton Beach, Brooklyn, section 16. I am of old and young, of the foolish as much as the wise, regardless of others, ever regardful of others, maternal as well as paternal, a child as well as a man, stuffed with the stuff that is coarse and stuffed with the stuff that is fine. One of the nation of many nations, the smallest the same and the largest the same. A southerner soon as a northerner, a planter nonchalant and hospitable. Down by the Oconee I live. A Yankee bound by my own way, ready for trade. My joints the limberest joints on earth and the sternest joints on earth. A Kentuckian walking the vale of the Elkhorn in my deerskin leggings. A Louisianian or a Georgian. A boatman over lakes or bays or along coasts. A Hoosier, Badger, Buckeye. At home on Canadian snowshoes or up in the bush, or with fishermen off Newfoundland. At home in the fleets of ice boats, sailing with the rest and tacking. At home on the hills of Vermont, or in the woods of Maine, or the Texan ranch. Comrade of Californians, comrade of free Northwesterners, loving their big proportions. Comrade of raftsmen and coalmen, comrade of all who shake hands and welcome to drink and meet. A learner with the simplest, a teacher of the thoughtfulest. A novice beginning yet experienced of myriads of seasons. Of every hue and caste am I, of every rank and religion. A farmer, mechanic, artist, gentleman, sailor, Quaker, prisoner, fancy man, rowdy, lawyer, physician, priest. I resist anything better than my own diversity. Breathe the air, but leave plenty after me, and am not stuck up, and am in my place. The moth and the fish eggs are in their place. The bright suns I see and the dark suns I cannot see are in their place. The palpable is in its place, and the impalpable is in its place.
My name is John Jackson. I will be reading section 17. These are really the thoughts of all men in all ages and lands. They are not original with me. They are not yours. If they are not yours as much as mine, they are nothing or next to nothing. If they are not the riddle and the untying of the riddle, they are nothing. If they're not just as close as they are distant, they are nothing. This is the grass that grows wherever the land is and the water is. This, the common air that bathes the globe.
There we go. I'm Julia Garro of the Canadian Whitmanites, and I'm coming to you from my farm in rural Ontario, Canada. And I'm dedicating this section to everyone who's ever found themselves living through a war that they did not choose. With music strong I come, with my cornets and my drums. I play not marches for accepted victors only. I play marches for conquered and slain persons. Have you heard that it was good to gain the day? I also say it is good to fall. Battles are lost in the same spirit in which they are won. I beat and pound for the dead. I blow through my embouchures, my loudest and gayest for them. Vivas to those who have failed, and to those whose war vessels sank in the sea, and to those themselves that sank in the sea, and to all generals that lost engagements, and to all overcome heroes, and to the numberless unknown heroes equal to the greatest heroes known.
Hello, this is Jim McHugh reading from Quaker Hill, Connecticut. This is the meal equally set, this the meat for natural hunger. It is for the wicked just the same as the righteous. I make appointments with all. I will not have a single person slighted or left away. The kept woman, sponger, thief are hereby invited. The heavy-lipped slave is invited. The venereal is invited. There shall be no difference between them and the rest. This is the press of a bashful hand. This the float and odor of hair. This is the touch of my lips to yours. This the murmur of yearning. This the far-off depth and height reflecting my own face. This is the thoughtful merge of myself and the outlet again. Do you guess I have some intricate purpose? Well, I have. For the 4th month showers have, and the mica on the side of a rock has. Do you take it I would astonish? Does the daylight astonish? Does the early red star twittering through the woods? Do they astonish? Do I astonish more than they? This hour I tell things in confidence. I might not tell everybody, but I will tell you.
Who goes there? Hankering, gross, mystical, nude. How is it I extract strength from the beef I eat? What is a man anyhow? What am I? What are you? All I mark as my own, you shall offset it with your own. Else it were time lost listening to me. I do not snivel that snivel the world over, that months are vacuums and the ground but wallow in filth, whimpering and truckling fold with powders for invalids, conformity goes to the fourth removed. I wear my hat as I please, indoors or out. Why should I pray? Why should I venerate and be ceremonious? Having pried through the strata, analyzed to the hair, counseled with doctors, and calculated close, I find no sweeter fat than sticks to my own bones. In all people, I see myself, none more and not a barleycorn less. And the good or bad I say of myself, I say of them. I know I am solid and sound. To me, the converging objects of the universe perpetually flow. All are written to me. And I must get what the writing means. I know I am deathless. I know this orbit of mine cannot be swept by a carpenter's compass. I know I shall not pass like a child's curlicue cut with a burnt stick at night. I know I am august. I do not trouble my spirit to vindicate itself or be understood. I see that the elementary laws never apologize. I reckon I behave no prouder than the level I plant my house by, after all. I exist as I am. That is enough. If no other in the world be aware, I sit content. And if each and all be aware, I sit content. One world is aware, and by far the largest to me, and that is myself. And whether I come to my own today, or in 10,000 or 10 million years, I can cheerfully take it now, or with equal cheerfulness, I can wait. My foothold is tenoned and mortised in granite. I laugh at what you call dissolution, and I know the amplitude of time.
I am the poet of the body, and I am the poet of the soul. The pleasures of heaven are with me, and the pains of hell are with me. The first I graft and increase upon myself. The latter I translate into a new tongue. I am the poet of the woman, the same as the man. And I say it is as great to be a woman as to be a man. And I say there is nothing greater than the mother of men. I chant a new chant of dilation and pride. We have had ducking and deprecating about enough. I show that size is only development. Have you outstripped the rest? Are you the president? It's a trifle. They will more than arrive there every one and still pass on. I am he that walks with the tender and growing night. I call to the earth and sea half held by the night. Press close, bare bosom night. Press close, magnetic, nourishing night. Night of the south winds. Night of the large few stars. Still nodding night. Mad, naked, summer night. Smile, O voluptuous, cool-breathed earth. Earth of the slumbering and liquid trees. Earth of the departed sunset. Earth of the mountains, misty topped. Earth of the vitreous pour of the full moon, just tinged with blue. Earth of shine and dark mottling of the tide of the river. Earth of the limpid gray of clouds, brighter and clearer for my sake. Far swooping elbowed earth, rich apple blossomed earth. Smile, for your lover comes.
Section 22.
We can see and hear you. You're good to go.
You see, I resign myself to you also. I guess what you mean. I behold from the beach your crooked, inviting fingers. I believe you refuse to go back without feeling of me. We must have a turn together. I am dressed. Hurry me out of sight of the land. Cushion me soft. Rock me in a billowy drowse. Dash me with amorous wet. I can repay you. Sea of stretched ground swells. Sea breathing broad and convulsive breaths. Sea of the brine of life and of unshoveled, yet always ready graves. Howler and scooper of storms, capricious and dainty sea, I am integral with you. I too am of one phase and of all faces. Partaker of influx and efflux, I extoller of hate and conciliation, extoller of unease and those that sleep in each other's arms. I am he, attesting sympathy. Shall I make my list of things in the house and skip the house that supports them? I am not the poet of goodness only. I do not decline to be the poet of wickedness also. What blurt is this about virtue and about vice? Evil propels me, and reform of evil propels me. I stand indifferent. My gait is no fault finder's or rejector's gait. I moisten the roots of all that has grown. Did you fear some scrofula out of the unflagging pregnancy? Did you guess the celestial laws are yet to be worked over and rectified? I find one side a balance and the antipodal side a balance. Soft doctrine as steady help, as stable doctrine. Thoughts and deeds of the present our rouse, an early start. This minute that comes to me now over the past decillions, there is no better than it and now. What behaved well in the past or behaved well today is not such a wonder. The wonder is always and always, how can there be a mean man or an infidel?
Section 23. Is this working?
Barbara, you're good. We can see you and hear you.
Good, thank you. So I will be reading section 23 from the 1882 David McKay publication that came to me from by way of Australia and has ended up here just a few miles from Philadelphia where it was printed many years later. Endless unfolding of words of ages, and mine a word of the modern, the word en masse, a word of the faith that never balks. Here or henceforward, it is all the same to me. I accept time, absolutely. It alone is without flaw. It alone rounds and completes all. That mystic, baffling wonder alone completes all. I accept reality and dare not question it. Materialism first and last imbuing. Hurrah for positive science. Long live exact demonstration. Fetch stone crop mixed with cedar and branches of lilac. This is the lexicographer, this the chemist. This made a grammar of the old cartouches. These mariners put the ship through dangerous unknown seas. This is the geologist. This works with the scalpel. And this, a mathematician. Gentlemen, to you, first honors always. Your facts are useful, and yet they are not my dwelling. I but enter by them to an area of my own dwelling. Less the reminders of properties told my words, and more the reminders they of life untold, and of freedom and extrication, and make short account of neuters and geldings, and favor men and women fully equipped, and beat the gong of revolt, and stop with fugitives and them that plot and conspire.
Walt Whitman, a cosmos of Manhattan the sun, turbulent, fleshy, sensual, eating, drinking, and breeding. No sentimentalist, no stander above men and women or apart from them. No more modest than immodest. Unscrew the locks from the doors. Unscrew the doors themselves from the jambs. Whoever degrades another degrades me, and whatever is done or said returns at last to me. Through me, the afflatus surging and surging, through me the current and index. I speak the password primeval. I give the sign of democracy. By God, I will accept nothing which all cannot have their counterpart of on the same terms. Through me, many long, dumb voices, voices of the interminable generations of prisoners and slaves, voices of the diseased and despairing, and of the thieves and dwarfs, voices of cycles of preparation and accretion, and of the threads that connect the stars, and of wombs, and of the father stuff, and of the rights of them the others are down upon, of the deformed, trivial, flat, foolish, despised, fog in the air, beetles rolling balls of dung. Through me, forbidden voices, voices of sexes and lusts, voices veiled, and I remove the veil, voices indecent by me, clarified and transfigured. I do not press my fingers across my mouth. I keep as delicate around the bowels as around the head and heart. Copulation is no more rank to me than death is. I believe in the flesh, in appetites. Seeing, hearing, feeling are miracles, and each part and tag of me is a miracle. Divine I am, inside and out, and I make holy whatever I touch or am touched from. The scent of these armpits' aroma, finer than prayer. This head, more than churches, Bibles, and all the creeds. If I worship one thing more than another, it shall be the spread of my own body or any part of it. Translucent mold of me, it shall be you. Shaded ledges and rests, it shall be you. Firm masculine coulter, it shall be you. Whatever goes to the tilth of me, it shall be you. You, my rich blood, your milky stream, pale strippings of my life. Breast pressed against other breasts, it shall be you. My brain, it shall be your occult convolutions. Root of washed sweet flag, timorous pond snipe, nest of guarded duplicate eggs. It shall be you. Mixed tousled hay of head, beard, brawn, it shall be you. Trickling sap of maple, fiber of manly wheat, it shall be you. Sun so generous, it shall be you. Vapors lighting and shading my face, it shall be you. You, sweaty brooks and dews, it shall be you. Winds whose soft, tickling genitals rub against me, it shall be you. Broad muscular fields, branches of live oak, loving lounger in my winding paths, it shall be you. Hands I have taken, face I have kissed, mortal I have ever touched, it shall be you. I dote on myself. There is that lot of me, and all so luscious. Each moment and whatever happens thrills me with joy. I cannot tell how my ankles bend, nor whence the cause of my faintest wish, nor the cause of the friendship I emit, nor the cause of the friendship I take again. That I walk up my stoop, I pause to consider if it really be. A morning glory at my window satisfies me more than the metaphysics of books. To behold the day break. The little light fades the immense and diaphanous shadows. The air tastes good to my palate. Heths of the moving world at innocent gambol, silently rising, freshly exuding, scooting obliquely high and low. Something I cannot see puts upward libidinous prongs. Seas of bright juice suffuse heaven. The earth by the sky stayed with, the daily close of their junction, the heaved challenge from the east, that moment over my head, the mocking taunt. See then whether you shall be master.
This is Ted Widmer reading section 25. I'm in East Matunic, Rhode Island. I want to thank Karin for all she does to bring us together and remember her mom and celebrate the cause of democracy here in our troubled country and in Ukraine and indeed everywhere. Dazzling and tremendous, how quick the sunrise would kill me if I could not now and always send sunrise out of me. We also ascend, dazzling and tremendous as the sun. We found our own, oh my soul, in the calm and cool of the daybreak. My voice goes after what my eyes cannot teach. With the twirl of my tongue, I encompass worlds and volumes of worlds. Speech is the twin of my vision. It is unequal to measure itself. It provokes me forever. It says sarcastically, Walt, you contain enough. Why don't you let it out then? Come now, I will not be tantalized. You conceive too much of articulation. Do you not know, O speech, how the buds beneath you are folded? Waiting in gloom, protected by frost, the dirt receding before my prophetical screams. I underlying causes to balance them at last. My knowledge, my live parts, it keeping tally with the meaning of all things. Happiness. With whoever hears me, let him or her set out in search of this day. My final merit, I refuse you. I refuse putting from me what I really am. Encompass worlds, but never try to encompass me. I crowd your sleekest and best by simply looking toward you. Writing and talk do not prove me. I carry the plenum of proof and everything else in my face. With the hush of my lips, I wholly confound the skeptic.
Now I will do nothing but listen to accrue what I hear into this song, to let sounds contribute toward it. I hear bravures of birds, bustle of growing wheat, gossip of flames, clack of sticks, cooking my meals. I hear the sound I love, the sound of the human voice. I hear all sounds running together, combined, fused or following, sounds of the city and sounds out of the city, sounds of the day and night. Talkative young ones to those that like them, the loud laugh of work people at their meals, the angry bass of disjointed friendship, the faint tones of the sick. The judge with hands tight to the desk, his pallid lips pronouncing a death sentence. Of the stevedores, unlading ships by the wars. The refrain of the anchor lifters. The ring of alarm bells, the cry of fire, the whir of swift streaking engines and hose carts, with premonitory tinkles and colored lights. The steam whistle, the solid roll of the train of approaching cars, the slow march played at the head of the association, marching to and to. Carts of corpse. The flag tower draped with that muscle. I hear the violin chant, 'tis a young man's heart's complaint. I hear the keyed cornet, it glides swiftly into my ears, it shakes mad sweet pangs through my belly and breast. I hear the chorus, it is a grand opera. Ah, this indeed is music, this suits me. A tenor large and fresh as the creation fills me. The orbic flex of his mouth is pouring and filling me full. I hear the trained soprano. What work with hers is this? The orchestra draws me wider than Uranus flies. It wrenches such ardors from me. I did not know I possessed them. It sails me like dab with bare feet. They're licked by the indolent waves. I am cut by bitter and angry hail. I lose my breath. Steeped on mid-honey morphine, my winged pipe throttled in fakes of death. At length let up again to feel the puzzle of puzzles. And that we call being.
That was chosen. Hi, everybody. I'm Ramon Perez from Bamberg in Germany. And I was chosen to read section number 27 for you in Spanish. So lean back and enjoy. Hola a todos. Me llamo Ramon Perez de Bamberg en Alemania. Y me eligieron a leer la sección número 27 en español. Así, póngase cómodo, disfrute, allá va. Existir en cualquier forma. ¿Qué es eso? Todos vamos girando y girando y siempre volvemos allá. Si solo hubiera desarrollado una almeja en su endurecida valva, esto sería bastante. La mía no es valva endurecida. Poseo hilos conductores rapidísimos por todo mi ser. Ya esté quieto o en marcha, se apoderan de las cosas, todas e intactas las llevan a través de mi ser. Solo rozo, palpo, siento con mis dedos y soy feliz. Tocar mi cuerpo a el de otra persona es algo que apenas puedo soportar.
Hi, my name is Chris. I'm from Manhattan, and I'm reading section 28. Is this then a touch, quivering me to a new identity? Flames and ether making a rush for my veins, treacherous tip of me reaching and crowding to help them. My flesh and blood playing out lightning to strike what is hardly different from myself. On all sides, prurient provokers stiffening my limbs, straining the udder of my heart for its withheld drip, behaving licentious toward me, taking no denial, depriving me of my best as for a purpose, unbuttoning my clothes, holding me by the bare waist, diluting my confusion with the calm of the sunlight and pasture fields, immodestly sliding the fellow senses away. They bribe to swipe off with touch and go and graze at the edges of me. No consideration, no regard for my draining strength or my anger, fetching the rest of the herd around to enjoy them a while, then all uniting to stand on a headland and worry me. The sentries desert every other part of me. They have left me helpless to a red marauder. They all come to the headland to witness and assist against me. I am given up by traitors. I talk wildly. I have lost my wits. I and nobody else am the greatest traitor. I went myself first to the headland. My own hands carried me there. You villain touch, what are you doing? My breath is tight in its throat. Unclench your floodgates. You are too much for me.
Hello everyone, good evening. This is Sascha from Munich, and here's section 29 in German. Blinde, liebevolle, ringende Berührung, verhüllte, verkappte, scharfzahnige Berührung, hat es dir so wehgetan, mich zu verlassen? Abschied gefolgt von Ankunft, beständige Bezahlung, beständige Leihe, reichströmender Regen und reicher noch die Belohnung danach. Keime schlagen Wurzeln und mehren sich, stehen am Rinnstein fruchtbar und lebendig, Landschaften ragen männlich, groß und golden hervor.
Hi, I'm Zelia from Iceland, and I will read section 30 in Portuguese, which is my mother tongue, and in English. So, here we go. Estão todas as verdades à espera em todas as coisas. Nem apressam o próprio nascimento, nem a ele se opõem. Não carecem do fórceps obstetrício do cirurgião, e o insignificante é para mim tão grande como tudo. O que é menos ou mais do que um contacto? Sermões e lógicas jamais convencem. O peso da noite cala muito mais profundo em minha alma. Só o que se prova a qualquer homem ou mulher é que é. Só o que ninguém nega é que é. Um minuto e uma gota de mim me resolvem o cérebro. Eu acredito que torrões de barro podem tornar-se em amantes e lâmpadas, e um compêndio de compêndios é a carne que alimenta um homem ou mulher. E no ápice ou flor, lá está o sentimento de um pelo outro, e devem ramificar-se além das fronteiras dessa lição, até que isso passe a todos, e até que um e todos nos possam deleitar, e nós a eles. All truths wait in all things. They neither hasten their own delivery nor resist it. They do not need the obstetric forceps of the surgeon. The insignificant is as big to me as any. What is less or more than a touch? Logic and sermons never convince. The damp of the night drives me deeper into my soul. Only what proves itself to every man and woman is so. Only what nobody denies is so. A minute and a drop of me settle my brain. I believe the soggy clods shall become lovers and lamps, and a compend of compends is the need of a man or woman. And the summit and flower there is, the feeling they have for each other. And they are to branch boundlessly out of that lesson until it becomes omnific, and until one and all shall delight us, and we them.
Hello there, this is Dave Morgan from Bolton, England. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity to join in the celebration. I believe a leaf of grass is no less than the journey work of the stars. And the pismire is equally perfect, and the grain of sand, and the egg of the wren. And the tree toad is a chef d'oeuvre for the highest, and the running blackberry would adorn the parlors of heaven. And the narrowest hinge in my hand puts to scorn all machinery. And the cow crunching with depressed head surpasses any statue, and a mouse is miracle enough to stagger sextillions of infidels. I find I incorporate gneiss, coal, long-threaded moss, fruits, grains, esculent roots, and I'm stuccoed with quadrupeds and birds all over, and have distance what is behind me for good reasons, but call anything back when I desire it. In vain the speeding or shyness, in vain the plutonic rocks send their old heat against my approach. In vain the mastodon retreats beneath its own powdered bones. In vain, objects stand leagues off and assume manifold shapes. In vain, the oceans settling in hollows and the great monsters lying low. In vain, the buzzard houses herself with the sky. In vain, the snake slides through the creepers and logs. In vain, the elk takes to the inner passes of the woods. In vain, the razor-billed auk sails far north to Labrador. I follow quickly. I ascend to the nest in the fissure of the cliff.
James Kaplinger, 32. I think I could turn and live with animals. They are so placid and self-contained. I stand and look at them long and long. They do not sweat and whine about their condition. They do not lie awake in the dark and weep for their sins. They do not make me sick discussing their duty to God. Not one is dissatisfied. Not one is demented with the mania of owning things. Not one kneels to another nor to his kind that lived thousands of years ago. Not one is respectable or unhappy over the whole earth. So they show their relations to me, and I accept them. They bring me tokens of myself. They evince them plainly in their possession. I wonder where they got these tokens. Did I pass that way huge times ago and negligently drop them? Myself moving forward then and now and forever, gathering, showing more, always and with velocity, infinite and omnigenous, and the like of these among them, not too exclusive toward the reachers of my remembrances, picking out here one that I love, and now go with him on brotherly terms. A gigantic beauty of a stallion, fresh and responsive to my caresses, head high in the forehead, wide between the ears, limbs glossy and supple, tail dusting the ground, eyes full of sparkling wickedness, ears finely cut, flexibly moving. His nostrils dilate as my heels embrace him. His well-built limbs tremble with pleasure as we race around and return. I but use you a minute, then I resign you, stallion. Why do I need your paces when I myself outgallop them? Even as I stand or sit, passing faster than you.
My name's Doug Pfeiffer. I'm doing section 33. Space and time. Now I see. Am I on? I can't see myself. I don't know. Want to make sure everything's good.
You're on.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. Space and time. Now I see it is true what I guessed at. What I guessed at when I loafed on the grass. What I guessed while I lay alone in my bed. And again as I walked the beach under the paling stars of the morning. My ties and ballasts leave me. My elbows rest in sea gaps. I skirt
sierras. My palms cover continents. I am afoot with my vision. By the city's quadrangular houses, in log huts camping with lumbermen, along the ruts of the turnpike, along the dry gulch and rivulet bed, weeding my onion patch or hoeing rows of carrots and parsnips, crossing savannas, traveling in forests, prospecting, gold digging, girdling the trees of a new purchase, scorched, ankle deep by the hot sand, hauling my boat down the shallow river, where the panther walks to and fro on a limb overhead, where the buck turns furiously at the hunter, where the rattlesnake suns his flabby length on a rock, where the otter is feeding on a fish, where the alligator in his tough pimples sleeps by the bayou, where the black bear is searching for roots or honey, where the beaver pats the mud with his paddle-shaped tail, over the growing sugar, over the yellow-flowered cotton plant, over the rice in its low, moist field, over the sharp-peaked farmhouse with its scalloped scum and slender shoots from the gutters, over the western persimmons, over the long-leaved corn, over the delicate blue-flowered flax, over the white and brown buckwheat, a hummer and buzzer there with the rest, over the dusky green of the rye as it ripples and shades in the breeze, scaling mountains, pulling myself cautiously up, holding on by low, scragged limbs, walking the path, worn in the grass and beat through the leaves of the brush, where the quail is whistling betwixt the woods and the wheat lot, where the bat flies in the seventh month eve, where the great gold bug drops through the dark, where the brook puts out the roots of the old tree and flows to the meadow, where the cattle stand and shake away flies with the tremulous shuddering of their hides, where the cheesecloth hangs in the kitchen, where andirons straddle the hearth slab, where cobwebs fall in festoons from the rafters, where trip hammers crash, where the press is whirling its cylinders, wherever the human heart beats with terrible throes under its ribs, where the pear-shaped balloon is floating aloft, floating in it myself, and looking composedly down, where the life car is drawn on the slip noose, where the heat hatches pale green eggs in the dented sand, where the she-whale swims with her calf and never forsakes it, where the steamship trails hindways its long pennant of smoke, where the fin of the shark cuts like a black chip out of the water, where the half-burned brig is riding on unknown currents, where shells grow to her slimy deck, where the dead are corrupting below, where the dense starred flag is borne at the head of the regiments, approaching Manhattan, up by the long stretching island, under Niagara, the cataract falling like a veil over my countenance, upon a doorstep, upon the horse block of hard wood outside, upon the race course, or enjoying picnics or jigs, or a good game of baseball, at he festivals, or let us say they festivals, with blackguard jibes, ironical license, bull dances, drinking, laughter, at the cider mill, tasting the sweets of the brown mash, sucking the juice through a straw, at apple peeling, wanting kisses for all the red fruit I find, at musters, beach parties, friendly bees, huskings, house raisings, where the mockingbird sounds his delicious gurgles, cackles, screams, weeps, where the hayrick stands in the barnyard,
where the dry stalks are scattered, where the brood cow waits in the hovel, where the bull advances to do his masculine work, where the stud to the mare, where the cock is treading the hen, where the heifers browse, where geese nip their food with short jerks, where sundown shadows lengthen over the limitless and lonesome prairie, where herds of buffalo make a crawling spread of the square miles far and near, where the hummingbird shimmers, where the neck of the long-lived swan is curving and winding, where the laughing gull scoots by the shore, where she laughs her near human laugh, where beehives range on a gray bench in the gardens half hid by the high weeds, where band-necked partridges roost in a ring on the ground with their heads out, where burial coaches enter the arched gates of a cemetery, where winter wolves bark amidst wastes of snow and icicled trees, where the yellow-crowned heron comes to the edge of the marsh at night and feeds upon small crabs, where the splash of swimmers and divers cools the warm noon, where the katydid works her chromatic reed on the walnut tree over the well, through patches of citrons and cucumbers with silver-wired leaves, through the salt lick or orange glade, or under conical firs, through the gymnasium, through the curtained saloon, through the office or public hall, pleased with the native and pleased with the foreign, pleased with the new and old, pleased with the homely woman as well as the handsome, pleased with the Quakeress as she puts off her bonnet and talks melodiously, pleased with the tune of the choir of the whitewashed church, pleased with the earnest words of the sweating Methodist preacher, impressed seriously at the camp meeting, looking in at the shop windows of Broadway the whole forenoon, flatting the flesh of my nose on the thick plate glass, wandering the same afternoon with my face turned up to the clouds, or down a lane, or along the beach, my right and left arms round the sides of two friends, and I in the middle, coming home with a silent and dark-cheeked bush boy. Behind me he rides at the drape of the day, far from the settlements, studying the prints of animals' feet or the moccasin print, by the cot in the hospital, reaching lemonade to a feverish patient, nigh the coffined corpse, when all is still, examining with a candle, voyaging to every port, to dicker and adventure, hurrying with the modern crowd, as eager and fickle as any, hot towards one I hate, ready in my madness to knife him, solitary at midnight in my backyard, my thoughts gone from me for a long while, walking the old hills of Judea with the beautiful, gentle God by my side, speeding through space, speeding through heavens and the stars, speeding amidst the 7 satellites and the broad ring and the diameter of 80,000 miles, speeding with tailed meteors, throwing fireballs like the rest, carrying the crescent child that carries its own full mother in its belly, storming, enjoying, planning, loving, cautioning, backing, and filling, appearing and disappearing. I tread day and night such roads. I visit the orchards of spheres and look at the product and look at quintillions ripened and look at quintillions green. I fly those flights of a fluid and swallowing soul. My course runs below the sounding of plummets. I help myself to material and immaterial. No guard can shut me off. No law prevent me.
I anchor my ship for a little while only. My messengers continually cruise away or bring their returns to me. I go hunting polar furs and the seal, leaping chasms with a pike-pointed staff clinging to topples of brittle and blue. I ascend to the foretruck. I take my place late at night in the crow's nest. We sail the Arctic Sea. It is plenty light enough. Through the clear atmosphere, I stretch around on the wonderful beauty. The enormous masses of ice pass me and I pass them. The scenery is plain in all directions. The white-topped mountains show in the distance. I fling out my fancies towards them. We are approaching some great battlefield in which we are soon to be engaged. We pass the colossal outposts of the encampment. We pass with still feet and caution, or we are entering by the suburbs some vast and ruined city, the blocks and fallen architecture more than all the living cities of the globe. I am a free companion. I bivouac by invading watchfires. I turn the bridegroom out of bed and stay with the bride myself. I tighten her all night to my thighs and lips. My voice is the wife's voice. The screech by the rail of the stairs. They fetch my man's body up, dripping and drowned. I understand the large hearts of heroes, the courage of present times and all times. How the skipper saw the crowded and rudderless wreck of the steamship and death chasing it up and down the storm. How he knuckled tight and gave not back an inch, and was faithful of days and faithful of nights, and chalked in large letters on a board, "Be of good cheer, we will not desert you." How he followed with them and tacked them 3 days and would not give it up. How he saved the drifting company at last. How the lank loosed-gowned women looked when boated from the side of their prepared graves. How the silent old-faced infants and lifted sick and the sharp-lipped unshaved men. All this I swallow. It tastes good. I like it well. It becomes mine. I am the man. I suffered. I was there. The disdain and calmness of martyrs. The mother of old, condemned for a witch, burnt with dry wood, her children gazing on. The hounded slave that flags in the race, leans by the fence, blowing, covered with sweat, the twinges that sting like needles, his legs and neck, the murderous buckshot and the bullets. All these I feel or am. I am the hounded slave. I wince at the bite of their dogs. Hell and despair upon me crack, and again crack the marksman. I clutch the rails of the fence. My gore dribs, thinned with the ooze of my skin. I fall on the weeds and stones. The riders spur their unwilling horses, haul close, taunt my dizzy ears, and beat me violently over the head with whipstocks. Agonies are one of my changes of garments. I do not ask the wounded person how he feels. I myself become the wounded person. My hurt turns livid upon me as I lean on a cane and observe. I am the mashed fireman with breastbone broken. Tumbling walls buried me in their debris. Heat and smoke I inspired. I heard the yelling shouts of my comrades. I heard the distant click of their picks and shovels. They have cleared the beams away. They tenderly lift me forth. I lie in the night air in my red shirt, the pervading hush
is for my sake. Painless after all, I lie exhausted, but not so unhappy. White and beautiful are the faces around me. The heads are bared of their fire caps. The kneeling crowd fades with the light of the torches. Distant and dead resuscitate. They show as the dial or move as the hands of me. I am the clock myself. I am an old artillerist. I tell of my fort's bombardment. I am there again. Again, the long roll of the drummers, again, the attacking cannon, mortars, again to my listening ears, the cannon responsive. I take part. I hear and I see the whole. The cries, curses, roar, the plaudits for well-aimed shots, the ambulance are slowly passing, trailing its red drip. Workmen searching after damages, making indispensable repairs, the fall of grenades through the rent roof, the fan-shaped explosion, the whiz of limbs, heads, stone, wood, iron, high in the air, again gurgles the mouth of my dying general. He furiously waves his hand. He gasps through the clock. Mind, not me. Mind, the entrenchments.
Hi, everyone. Well done, Douglas. That was wonderful. My name is Krishna Rao. I'm from Toronto, Ontario, and I'm reading section 34, which sadly could have been written today about the horrors we hear of every day from Ukraine. Now I tell what I knew in Texas in my early youth. I tell not the fall of Alamo. Not one escaped to tell the fall of Alamo. The 150 are dumb yet at Alamo. 'Tis the tale of the murder in cold blood of 412 young men. Retreating, they had formed in a hollow square with their baggage for breastworks. 900 lives out of the surrounding enemies, 9 times their number, was the price they took in advance. Their colonel was wounded and their ammunition gone. They treated for an honorable capitulation, received writing and seal, and gave up their arms and marched back prisoners of war. They were the glory of the race of Rangers, matchless with horse, rifle, song, supper, courtship. Large, turbulent, generous, handsome, proud, and affectionate. Bearded, sunburnt, dressed in the free costume of hunters. Not a single one of them over 30 years of age. The second first day morning, they were brought out in squads and massacred. It was beautiful early summer. The work commenced about 5 o'clock and was over by 8. None obeyed the command to kneel. Some made a mad and helpless rush. Some stood stark and straight. A few fell at once, shot in the temple or heart. The living and dead lay together, the maimed and mangled, dug in the dirt. The newcomers saw them there. Some, half killed, attempted to crawl away. These were dispatched with bayonets or battered with the blunts of muskets. A youth not 17 years old seized his assassin till 2 more came to release him. The 3 were all torn and covered with the boy's blood. At 11 o'clock began the burning of the bodies. That is the tale of the murder of the 412 young men.
This is Matt Miller reading from Queens, New York. Would you hear of an old-time sea fight? Would you learn who won by the light of the moon and stars? Listen to the yarn as my grandmother's father, the sailor, told it to me. Our foe was no skulk in his ship, I tell you, said he. His was the surly English pluck, and there is no tougher or truer. It never was and never will be. Along the lowered eve, he came horribly raking us. We closed with him, the yards entangled, the cannon touched. My captain lashed fast with his own hands. We had received some 18-pound shots under the water. On our lower gun deck, 2 large pieces had burst at the first fire, killing all around and blowing up overhead. Fighting at sundown, fighting at dark, 10 o'clock at night, the full moon well up, our leaks on the gain, and 5 feet of water reported. The master-at-arms loosing the prisoners confined in the afterhold to give them a chance for themselves. The transit to and from the magazine is now stopped by the sentinels. They see so many strange faces, they do not know whom to trust. Our frigate takes fire. The other asks if we demand quarter, if our colors are struck and the fighting done. Now I laugh content, for I hear the voice of my little captain. We have not struck, he composedly cries. We have just begun our part of the fighting. Only 3 guns are in use. One is directed by the captain himself against the enemy's mainmast. 2 well served with grape and canister silence his musketry and clear his decks. The tops alone second the fire of this little battery, especially the main top. They hold out bravely during the whole of the action. Not a moment's cease. The leaks gain fast on the pumps. The fire eats toward the powder magazine. One of the pumps has been shot away. It is generally thought we are sinking. Serene stands the little captain. He is not hurried. His voice is neither high nor low. He gives more light to us than our battle lanterns. Toward 12, there in the beams of the moon, they surrender to us.
Hi, I'm Grace from Bolton, and I dedicate this reading to the Bolton Whitmanites and also my university professor, Dr. Kim Edwards-Keats, who introduced me to the work of Walt Whitman. Stretched and still lies the midnight, 2 great hulls motionless on the breast of the darkness. Our vessel riddled and slowly sinking, preparations to pass to the one we have conquered. The captain on the quarterdeck coldly gives his orders through a countenance white as a sheet. Nearby, the corpse of the child that served in the cabin. The dead face of an old salt with long white hair and carefully curled whiskers. The flames, despite all that can be done, flickering aloft and below. The husky voices of the 2 or 3 officers yet fit for duty. formless stacks of bodies and bodies by themselves, dabs of flesh upon the masts and spars. A cut of cordage, dangle of rigging, slight shock of the soothe of waves, black and impassive guns, litter of powder parcels, strong scent, a few large stars overhead, silent and mournful shining, delicate sniffs of sea breeze, smells of sedgy grass and fields by the shore, death messages given in charge to survivors, the hiss of the surgeon's knife, the gnawing teeth of his saw, wheeze, cluck, swash of falling blood, short, wild scream, and long, dull, tapering groans. These so, these irretrievable.
Can you see me? I can't see myself. Okay, I'll go ahead. I'm Lucy and I'm reading from Leeds, and thanks, Grace. You laggards there on guard, look to your arms. In the conquered doors they crowd. I am possessed. Embody all presences outlawed or suffering. See myself in prison shaped like another man and feel the dull, unintermitted pain. For me, the keepers of convicts shoulder their carbines and keep watch. It is I let out in the morning and barred at night. Not a mutineer walks handcuffed to jail, but I am handcuffed to him and walk by his side. I am less the jolly one there and more the silent one with sweat on my twitching lips. Not a youngster is taken for larceny, but I go up too, and am tried and sentenced. Not a cholera patient lies at the last gasp, but I also lie at the last gasp. My face is ash-coloured, my sinews gnarl, away from me people retreat. Askers embody themselves in me, and I am embodied in them. I project my hat, sit shamefaced, and beg.
Brad, we can't hear you.
Are you able to hear me now, Triston?
Yep.
Great, thank you. My name is Brad Vogel, and I had planned originally to read from a rooftop in the city here in Manhattan, but time has moved along, and so I am on the omnibus of our times here with Zhang Zhang driving me to Queens, section 38. Enough, enough, enough. Somehow I have been stunned. Stand back. Give me a little time beyond my cuffed head, slumbers, dreams, gaping. I discover myself on the verge of a usual mistake. That I could forget the mockers and insults. That I could forget the trickling tears and the blows of the bludgeons and hammers. That I could look with a separate look on my own crucifixion and bloody crowning. I remember now. I resume the overstayed fraction. The grave of rock multiplies what has been confided to it, or to any graves. Corpses rise, gashes heal, fastenings roll from me. I troop, replenished with supreme power, one of an average unending procession. Inland and seacoast we go and pass all boundary lines, our swift ordinances on their way over the whole earth. The blossoms we wear in our hats, the growth of thousands of years. Elevs, I salute you, come forward. Continue your annotations, continue your questionings.
Hi, I'm Stephen Dima. I'm reading from Brooklyn. I am on the board of the nonprofit Fulton Market Association, which oversees the Fulton Stone Market, which is the current home of the Whitman Taine Library, which we are so deeply grateful and excited about. The friendly and flowing savage, who is he? Is he waiting for civilization or past it and mastering it? Is he some Southwesterner raised outdoors? Is he Canadian? Is he from the Mississippi country, Iowa, Oregon, California, the mountains, prairie life, bush life, or sailor from the sea? Wherever he goes, men and women accept and desire him. They desire he should like them, touch them, speak to them, stay with them. Behavior lawless as snowflakes, words simple as grass, uncombed head, laughter, and naivety. Slow stepping feet, common features, common modes, and emanations. They descend in new forms from the tips of his fingers. They are wafted with the odor of his body or breath. They fly out of the glance of his eyes.
Hello, I'm Gail Bayak. I live in Southern California. I'd like to say Whitman was unconventional at the time he wrote, using free verse to celebrate nature, but he concentrates on the commoners, which was uncommon and annoying to his peer poets. He minced his writings with politics and love of the country as a union of everyone and everything. This is section 40. Flaunt of the sunshine, I need not your bask. Lie over. Your light surfaces only. I force surfaces and depths also. Earth, you seem to look for something at my hands. Say, old top knot, what do you want? Man or woman, I might tell how I like you, but cannot. And might tell you what it is in me and what it is in you, but cannot. And might tell that the pining I have, that pulse of my nights and days. Behold, I do not give lectures or a little charity. When I give myself. You there, impotent, loose in the knees, open your scarfed chops till I blow grit within you. Spread your palms and lift the flaps of your pockets. I am not to be denied. I compel. I have stores plenty and to spare, and anything I have, I bestow. I do not ask who you are. That is not important to me. You can do nothing and be nothing, but what I will enfold you. To cotton field drudge or cleaner of privies, I lean. On his right cheek, I put the family kiss. And in my soul, I swear I never will deny him. On women fit for conception, I start bigger and nimble babes. This day I am jetting the stuff of far more arrogant republics. To anyone dying, thither I speed and twist the knob of the door. Turn the bedclothes toward the foot of the bed. Let the physician and priest go home. I seize the descending man and raise him with resistless will. O despairer, here is my neck. By God, you shall not go down. Hang your whole weight upon me. I dilate you with tremendous breath. I buoy you up. Every room of the house do I fill with an armed force. Lovers of me, bafflers of graves. Sleep, I and they keep guard all night. Not doubt, not decease shall dare to leg a finger upon you. I have embraced you and henceforth possess you to myself. And when you rise in the morning, you will find what I tell you is so.
Hello, everyone. This is Bob Lewis at the Fulton Stall Market in Lower Manhattan, site of the small but growing Whitman Tain Reading Library, sponsored by the Whitman Initiative, and literally at the site of Crossing Brooklyn Ferry. This is the Louis Daniel illustration from the 1940 version of Leaves of Grass. We're right there. Want to thank Karin and Andrew Rimby for his curatorial work thus far, and we are looking forward to welcoming everyone this September. This is section 41. I am he, bringing help for the sick as they pant on their backs. And for strong, upright men, I bring yet more needed help. I heard what was said of the universe, heard it of several thousand years. It is middling well as far as it goes, but is that all? Magnifying and applying come I, outbidding at the start the old cautious hucksters, taking myself the exact dimensions of Jehovah, lithographing Kronos, Zeus, his son, and Hercules, his grandson, buying drafts of Osiris, Isis, Belus, Brahma, Buddha, in my portfolio, placing Manitou loose, Allah on a leaf, the crucifix engraved, with Odin and the hideous face Mexitli, and every idol and image, taking them all for what they are worth and not a cent more, admitting they were alive and did the work of their days. They bore mites as for unfledged birds who have now to rise and fly and sing for themselves, accepting rough deific sketches to fill out better in myself, bestowing them freely on each man and woman I see, discovering as much or more in a framer framing a house, putting higher claims for him there with his rolled up sleeves driving the mallet and chisel, not objecting to special revelations, considering a curl of smoke or a hair on the back of my hand just as curious as any revelation. Lads a hold of fire engines and hook and ladder ropes, no less to me than the gods of antique wars, minding their voices peal through the crash of destruction, their brawny limbs passing safe over charred laths, their white foreheads whole and unhurt out of the flames. By the mechanic's wife with her babe at her nipple, interceding for every person born. 3 scythes at harvest whizzing in a row from 3 lusty angels with shirts bagged out at their waists. The snag-toothed hostler with red hair redeeming sins past and to come. Selling all he possesses, traveling on foot to fee lawyers for his brother and sit by him while he is tried for forgery. What was strewn in the amplest, strewing the square rod about me and not filling the square rod then. The bull and the bug never worshipped half enough. Dung and dirt more admirable than was dreamed. The supernatural of no account, myself waiting my time to be one of the supremes. The day getting ready for me, when I shall do as much good as the best and be as prodigious. By my life lumps, becoming already a creator, putting myself here and now to the ambushed womb of the shadows.
Hello, this is Stuart Murray, a voice from the city of Chester in the UK, section 42. A call in the midst of the crowd, my own voice, orotund, sweeping and final. Come, my children, come, my boys and girls, my women, household and intimates. Now the performer launches his nerve. He has passed his prelude on the reeds within. Easily written, loose-fingered chords. I feel the thrum of your climax and close. My head slews round on my neck. Music rolls, but not from the organ. Folks are around me, but they are no household of mine. Ever the hard, unsunk ground, ever the eaters and drinkers, ever the upward and downward sun, ever the air and the ceaseless tides, ever myself and my neighbours, refreshing, wicked, real, ever the old inexplicable query, ever that thorned thumb, that breath of itches and thirsts, ever the vexers hoot, hoot, till we find where the sly one hides and bring him forth, ever love, ever the sobbing liquid of life, ever the bandage under the chin, ever the trestles of death. Here and there, with dimes on the eyes, walking, to feed the greed of the belly, the brains liberally spooning. Tickets buying, taking, selling, but into the feast never once going. Many sweating, ploughing, thrashing, and then the chaff for payment receiving. A few idly owning, and they, the wheat, continually claiming. This is the city, and I am one of the citizens. Whatever interests the rest interests me. Politics, wars, markets, newspapers, schools, the mayor and councils, banks, tariffs, steamships, factories, stocks, stores, real estate, and personal estate. The little plentiful mannequins skipping around in collars and tailed coats. I'm aware who they are. They are positively not worms or fleas. I acknowledge the duplicates of myself. The weakest and shallowest is deathless with me. What I do and say the same waits for them. Every thought that flounders in me, the same flounders in them. I know perfectly well my own egotism, know my omnivorous lines, and must not write any less, and would fetch you, whoever you are, flush with myself. Not words of routine, this song of mine, but abruptly to question, to leap beyond, yet nearer bring. This printed and bound book, but the printer and the printing office boy, the well-taken photographs, but your wife or friend close and solid in your arms, the black ship mailed with iron, her mighty guns in her turrets, but the pluck of the captain and engineers? In the houses, the dishes and fare and furniture, but the host and hostess and the look out of their eyes. The sky up there, yet here or next door or across the way. The saints and sages in history, but you yourself? Sermons, creeds, theology, but the fathomless human brain, and what is reason, and what is love, and what is life?
Larry, you're good to go.
Oh, okay. I don't see me in my screen. Am I supposed to?
It'll come up soon, but you're on. I can see you.
Okay. Hi, I'm Larry Graber, and I come from Santa Monica. And I want to start by honoring the native peoples of this land that I am at, who eventually became the Chumash and the Tongva. And so I think what I'll do is start off. I can't see myself yet, but I want to do a little bit of smudging just to bring a little ceremony and cleansing. I'll try and send it out to everyone. I'm offering this up, and also the linkage to the above and to what's below and supports us, to our ancestors. Oh. I'm going to attempt to see if I can get my picture bigger so I can see. Nope. That's okay. Let's see. Well, one of the things that came up when I saw this passage was sort of an homage to one's embodied presence. So I dedicate this to the wisdom of the ancients, what still lies within us in our own embodied presence, to what's been called spiralic memory that Walt Whitman talks to when he says that we're always in the past and the future simultaneously, and as well to the not yet known, which somewhere still it lives in us already. And I thought, since I saw drums in many of the passages, that I would play a little bit, not that drum, to start off, and also in honor of Juneteenth, to the role of drums and to song that have played in healing for quite some time. There's also a Navajo saying that a person's worth is connected to how many songs they have sung. I do not despise you, priests, all time the world over. My faith is the greatest of faiths and the least of faiths. Enclosing worship ancient and modern, and all between ancient and modern. Believing I shall come again upon the earth after 5,000 years. Waiting responses from oracles, honoring the gods, saluting the sun, making a fetish of the first rock or stump, powwowing with sticks, in the circle of Orbis, helping the Lama and the Brahmin as he trims the lamps of the idols, dancing yet the streets in a phallic procession, wrapped austere in the woods of the Demophis, drinking mead from the skull cup, to the Shastas, to the Vedas, to the Admirants, minding the Quran, walking the teocallis, spotted with gore from the stone knife, beating the serpent skin drum. Accepting the Gospels, accepting him that was crucified, knowing assuredly that he lives, he is divine. To the mass kneeling of the Puritan prayer, rising or sitting patiently in a pew, ranting and frothing in my insane crisis, or waiting dead-like till my spirit rouses me, looking forth on pavement and land, or outside of pavement and land, belonging to the winders of the circuits of circuits. One of the centripetal and the centrifugal gang, I turn and talk like a man leaving charges before a journey, downhearted doubters, dull and excluded, frivolous, sullen, moping, angry, affected, disheartened, atheistic. I know every one of you. I know the sea of torment, doubt, despair, and unbelief. How the flukes flash, how they cut torch rapid as lightning, spasms and spouts of blood. Be at peace, bloody flukes of doubters and sullen mopers. I take my place among you as much as among any. The past is a push of you, me all precisely the same. And what is untried and afterward is for you, me all precisely the same. I do not know what is untried and afterward, but I know it will in turn prove sufficient and cannot fail. Each who passes is considered, each who stops is considered, not a single one can it fail. It cannot fail the young man who died and was buried, nor the young woman who died and was put by his side, nor the little child that peeped in the door and then drew back and never was seen again, nor the old man who has lived without purpose and feels its bitterness worse than gall, nor him in the poorhouse, tubercled by rum and bad disorder, nor the numberless slaughtered and wrecked, nor the brutish caboo called the ordure of humanity, nor the sacks of floating with open mouths for food to sip in, nor anything on earth, or down in the oldest graves of the earth, nor anything in the myriads of spears, nor the myriads of spears, nor the myriads of myriads that inhabit them, nor the present, nor the least wisp that is known.
Hi, everybody. I guess I'll go ahead and start. My name is Cynthia Tong. I'll be reading from Washington, D.C. today. So I actually chose section 44 because it speaks a lot about science, and science is often just regarded as a field that is very cold and unmoving, but I think there is actually nothing more romantic than us just trying to understand the world and our existence and human curiosity. So here is section 44. It is time to explain myself. Let us stand up. What is known, I strip away. I launch all men and women forward with me into the unknown. The clock indicates the moment, but what does eternity indicate? We have thus far exhausted trillions of winters and summers. There are trillions ahead and trillions ahead of them. Birds have brought us richness and variety, and other birds will bring us richness and variety. I do not call one greater or smaller. That which fills this period and place is equal to any. Were mankind murderous or jealous upon you, my brother, my sister? I am sorry for you. They are not murderous or jealous upon me. All has been gentle with me. I keep no account with lamentation. What have I to do with lamentation? I am an acme of things accomplished, and I an encloser of things to be. My feet strike an apex of the apices of the stairs. On every step, bunches of ages and larger bunches between the steps, all below duly traveled, and still I mount and mount. Rise after rise, bow the phantoms behind me. Afar down, I see the huge first nothing. I know I was even there. I waited unseen and always, and slept through the lethargic mist, and took my time, and took no hurt from the fetid carbon. Long I was hugged close, long and long. Immense have been the preparations for me, faithful and friendly the arms that have held me. Cycles ferried my cradle, rowing and rowing like cheerful boatmen. For room to me, stars kept aside in their rings. They sent influences to look after what was to hold me. Before I was born out of my mother, generations guided me. My embryo has never been torpid. Nothing could overlay it. For it, the nebula cohered to an orb, the long, slow strata piled to rest it on. Vast vegetables gave it sustenance. Monstrous sauroids transported it in their mouths and deposited it with care. All forces have been steadily employed to complete and delight me. Now on this spot, I stand with my robust soul. Thank you.
I have been asked to step in and read section 45, so bear with me. A span of youth, ever pushed elasticity. Oh, manhood, balanced, florid, and full.
Wait a minute. I thought I was going to do it.
Kathleen, you're here?
Yeah, I've been here all along.
Oh, go for it, girl, please.
I'm sorry. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, my computer froze, so I just went on the I can't start my video. I think you took me off everything, but now let's see. Okay.
You are with us.
Great. Yeah. I tried to I sent you some chats, but it doesn't matter. I'm loving the reading. Section 45, Kathleen Spivak. And I just love listening to this. It's wonderful. Thank you so much, the organizers and all the dedications. It's wonderful. Thank you, Karin, especially. Section 45. Oh, span of youth, ever pushed elasticity. Oh, manhood, balanced, florid, and full. My lovers suffocate me, crowding my lips, thick in the pores of my skin, jostling me through streets and public halls, coming naked to me at night, crying by day. Ahey, ahoy, abay, I couldn't read it. From the rocks of the river, swinging and chirping over my head, calling my name from flower beds, vines, tangled underbrush, lighting on every moment of my life, bussing my body with balsamic buses, noiselessly passing handfuls out of their hearts and giving them to be mine. Old age, superbly rising. Oh, welcome, ineffable grace of dying days. Every condition promulges not only itself, it promulges what grows after and out of itself. And the dark hush promulges as much as any. I open my scuttle at night and see the far sprinkled systems and all I see multiplied as high as I can cipher, edge but the rim of further systems. Wider and wider they spread, expanding, always expanding, outward and forever outward. My son as his son, and round him obediently wheels. He joins with his partners, a group of superior circuit. And greater sets follow, making specks of the greatest inside them. There is no stoppage, and never can be stoppage. If I, you, and the world, and all beneath or upon their surfaces were this moment reduced back to a pallid float, it would not avail in the long run. We would surely bring up again where we now stand, and surely go as much farther, and then farther and farther. A few quadrillions of eras, a few octillions of cubic leagues. Do not hazard the span or make it impatient. They are but parts. Anything is but a part. See, ever so far, there is limitless space. Outside of that, count ever so much. There is limitless time around that. My rendezvous is appointed, it is certain. The Lord will be there, and wait till I come on perfect terms. The great camarado, the lover true, for whom I pine, will be there.
Hello, friends. My name is Louis, and I'm a soldier in the Secession War. We have a lot of diversity here. It's rough. So I came to Rappahannock in 1862 to heal. I got hit by a shell fragment. Not unlike George. My friend George is Walt Whitman's brother. Walt Whitman came down here to help George. He ended up helping us all. When some of us from Brooklyn, we'd lost limbs or were really ill, we went on to a hospital in Washington, and Walt came with us to help out. He ended up staying on and on. He was there for more than 2 years, maybe 3 years. Okay. At night, sometimes Walt would read to us. Once he shared part of something he had published in 1855. And it could have been written for me. Here it is. I know I have the best of time and space, and that I was never measured and never will be measured. I tramp a perpetual journey. My signs are a rainproof coat, and good shoes, and a staff cut from the woods. No friend of mine takes his ease in my chair. I have no chair, nor church, nor philosophy. I lead no man to a dinner table or library or exchange. But each man and each woman of you I lead upon a knoll, my left hand hooking you round the waist, my right hand pointing to landscapes and continents and a plain public road. Not I, not anyone else can travel that road for you. You must travel it for yourself. It's not far, it's within reach. Perhaps you've been on it since you were born and did not know. Perhaps it's everywhere on water and on land. Shoulder your duds and I will mine, and let us hasten forth. Wonderful cities and free nations we shall fetch as we go. If you tire, give me both burdens and rest the chuff of your hand on my hip. And in due time, you shall repay the same service to me. For after we start, we never lie by again. This day, before dawn, I ascended a hill and looked at the crowded heaven. And I said to my spirit, when we become the enfolders of those orbs and the pleasure and knowledge of everything in them, shall we be filled and satisfied then? And my spirit said, no. We level that lift to pass and continue beyond. You are also asking me questions, and I hear you. I answer that I cannot answer. You must find out for yourself. Sit a while, wayfarer. Here are biscuits to eat, and here is milk to drink. But as soon as you sleep and renew yourself in sweet clothes, I will certainly kiss you with my goodbye kiss and open the gate for your egress hence. Long enough have you dreamed contemptible dreams. Now, I wash the gum from your eyes. You must habit yourself to the dazzle of light and of every moment of your life. Long have you timidly waded, holding a plank by the shore. Now, I will you to be a bold swimmer, to jump off in the midst of the sea and rise again and nod to me and shout and laughingly dash with your hair.
Hi, I'm Michael Ruby. I love Whitman because he freed poets to write in long lines. He's the great innovator in modern poetry, influencing poets in so many different languages. Number 47. I am the teacher of athletes. He that by me spreads a wider breast than my own proves the width of my own. He most honors my style who learns under it to destroy the teacher. The boy I love, the same becomes a man, not through derived power, but in his own right, wicked rather than virtuous out of conformity or fear, fond of his sweetheart, relishing well his steak, unrequited love or a slight, cutting him worse than sharp steel cuts. First rate to ride, to fight, to hit the bullseye, to sail a skiff, to sing a song or play on the banjo, preferring scars in the beard and faces pitted with smallpox over all latherers, and those well tanned to those that keep out of the sun. I teach straying from me, yet who can stray from me? I follow you, whoever you are, from the present hour. My words itch at your ears till you understand them. I do not say these things for $1 or to fill up the time while I wait for a boat. It is you talking just as much as myself. I act as the tongue of you. Tied in your mouth, in mine it begins to be loosened. I swear I will never again mention love or death inside a house. And I swear I will never translate myself at all, only to him or her who privately stays with me in the open air. If you would understand me, go to the heights or water shore. The nearest gnat is an explanation, and a drop or motion of waves a key. The maul, the oar, the handsaw second my words. No shuttered room or school can commune with me, but roughs and little children better than they. The young mechanic is closest to me. He knows me well. The woodman that takes his axe and jug with him shall take me with him all day. The farm boy plowing in the field feels good at the sound of my voice. In vessels that sail, my words sail. I go with fishermen and seamen and love them. The soldier camped or upon the march is mine. On the night air, the pending battle, many seek me, and I do not fail them. On that solemn night, it may be their last. Those that know me seek me. My face rubs to the hunter's face when he lies down alone in his blanket. The driver, thinking of me, does not mind the jolt of his wagon. The young mother and old mother comprehend me. The girl and the wife rest the needle a moment and forget where they are. They and all would resume what I have told them.
Hi, I'm Mark Jackett coming to you from Port New York. This is section 48. I have said that the soul is not more than the body, and I've said that the body is not more than the soul, and nothing, not God, is greater to one than oneself is. And whoever walks a furlong without sympathy walks to his own funeral dressed in his shroud. And I or you, pocketless of a dime, could purchase the pick of the earth. And to glance with an eye or show a beam in its pod confounds the learning of all times. And there is no trade or employment, but the young man following it may become a hero. And there is no object so soft, but it makes a hub for the wheeled universe. And I say to any man or woman, let your soul stand cool and composed before 1,000,000 universes. And I say to mankind, be not curious about God, for I who am curious about each am not curious about God. No array of terms can say how much I am at peace about God and about death. I hear and behold God in every object, yet understand God not in the least. Nor do I understand who there can be more wonderful than myself. Why should I wish to see God better than this day? I see something of God in each hour of the 24, in each moment then. In the faces of men and women, I see God. And in my own face in the glass. I find letters from God dropped in the street. And everyone is signed by God's name. And I leave them where they are. For I know that wheresoever I go, others will punctually come forever and ever.
You're good to go.
Oh, can I start?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My name is Teruko Kajiwara. I will read my Japanese translation from Tokyo. The section 49, 49節。そして、あなた、死よ。死すべき定めをもたらすあなたのむごい抱擁よ。私を驚かせようとしても無駄だ。ひるむことなく3回が仕事に取り掛かる。私の目には最初の切り札を持つ手が押し出し、受け取り、支えるのが見える。私は見事でしなやかなドアの敷居のそばに寄りかかって、現れいでる様に目を見張り、抜け出してほっとする様に目を見張る。そして、あなた、亡骸よ。私はあなたを良い肥料だと思い、あなたのせいで不快になったりしない。私は白バラが甘く咲き匂うのを嗅ぐ心地で、葉っぱのような唇に手を伸ばし、メロンのように艶やかな乳房に手を伸ばす。そしてあなた、生よ。私はあなたはたくさんの死の残り物だと思う。疑いようもなく、私自身だって1万回は死んだことがある。私の耳には、あなたたちがささやきかけているのが聞こえる。ああ、天上の星々よ。ああ、太陽たちよ。ああ、墓場の草よ。ああ、無限に続く譲渡と促進よ。あなたたちが何も語らないなら、私が何を語れよう。秋の森に潜む濁った池の、風でそよぐ黄昏の急勾配を降りていく月の、揺れ動け、昼と黄昏のきらめきよ。揺れ動け、不食土の中で朽ちる黒い幹の上で。揺れ動け、枯れた大枝がブツブツつぶやく、嘆く声に向かって。私は月から昇っていく。私は夜から昇っていく。私には青ざめた明滅が昼の日光の反射だとわかり、大小さまざまな子孫から不動の中心に向かって進み出る。Thank you.
Hi, Hello, this is Sam McGovern with the Calamus Project. We have just launched a new website, calamusproject.org, that has films of all the Calamus poems and lots of other resources as well. Section 50. There is that in me. I do not know what it is, but I know it is in me. Wrenched and sweaty, calm and cool, then my body becomes. I sleep long. I do not know it. It is without name. It is a word unsaid. It is not in any dictionary, utterance, symbol. Something it swings on more than the earth I swing on. To it, the creation is the friend whose embracing awakes me. Perhaps I might tell more. Outlines I plead for my brothers and sisters. Do you see, oh my brothers and sisters? It is not chaos or death. It is form, union, plan. It is eternal life. It is happiness.
Hi, my name is Eric Hafker, and I'm a high school English teacher in Queens, New York, and I'm reading to you from Long Island, New York. And I just want to say happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, and what an honor it is to be preceding Mr. Ed Folsom. Congratulations and God bless you on your retirement. The past and present wilt. I have filled them, emptied them, and proceed to fill my next fold of the future. Listener up there, what have you to confide to me? Look in my face while I snuff the sidle of evening. Talk honestly. No one else hears you, and I stay only a minute longer. Do I contradict myself? Very well then, I contradict myself. I am large. I contain multitudes. I concentrate toward them that are nigh. I wait on the door slab. Who has done his day's work? Who will soonest be through with his supper? Who wishes to walk with me? Will you speak before I am gone? Will you prove already too late?
Hi, everyone. I'm Ed Folsom, speaking to you tonight from Iowa City, Iowa. And I will read the concluding section, Whitman's Great Disappearing Act. The spotted hawk swoops by and accuses me. He complains of my gab and my loitering. I too am not a bit tamed. I too am untranslatable. I sound my barbaric yawp over the roofs of the world. The last scud of day holds back for me. It flings my likeness after the rest and true as any on the shadowed wilds. It coaxes me to the vapor and the dusk. I depart as air. I shake my white locks at the runaway sun. I effuse my flesh in eddies and drift it in lacy jags. I bequeath myself to the dirt to grow from the grass I love. If you want me again, look for me under your boot soles. You will hardly know who I am or what I mean, but I shall be good health to you nevertheless, and filter and fiber your blood. Failing to fetch me at first, keep encouraged. Missing me one place, search another. I stop somewhere, waiting for you.
Hello, everyone. And I'm almost speechless, but I will want to conclude our reading, which was profoundly moving. So many fantastic interpretations, and the last words of Ed will stay with me. Can I ask everyone to put their cameras on and unmute so that we have the entire gallery for everyone to see? And I'm hoping that we can all shout and laugh and say, hooray for all of you. Congratulations to Ed for a very well-deserved retirement from teaching, and a profound thanks to all of you for hanging in there for what, 3.5, 4 hours through this, 4 hours. So let loose, everybody.
Mille bravi.
Bravo.
Oh my goodness.
Karin,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Oh my
Thank
goodness.
you, Karin.
Thank you, everybody.
Nice seeing you.
That was amazing.
Such a pleasure.
Arigato.
Please stay in touch, and to all the listeners out there who also hung out and heard the whole thing, thank you so much for being there. I feel like this reading is so good for the soul every year. Always something new and always new interpretations. Please keep in touch. If you're in the New York area in September, I'm hoping that you will be available to join us for the live reading on September 17th in Brooklyn Bridge Park. Would be wonderful. But for now, we're going to say good night and a warm thanks to everyone. Love you all.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thanks to everybody.
Cheers.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.